Well, hey, McFly subscribers. So I'm out camping today. Literally just got here. There's my car. Haven't even unpacked yet. I'm camping at a little place called Fenton Lake, and it's very beautiful. On the way up here was just gorgeous. I mean, there was waterfalls and just amazing. Beautiful landscape. A lot of trees. It actually reminded me of up in north of Durango there. And I'm going to be meeting RXflyfishing. He's on Instagram. And I'm going to be meeting up with him and fishing up into the mountains here tomorrow. But for today, hopefully I have enough time to get over and fish a little bit at the lake. The trout are stocked there.
Well, I did get a chance to fish the lake, and I tried nymphing and streamer fishing. However, I didn't have any luck. I only fished for a half hour and decided to call it quits and start setting up for camping that night. This included gathering firewood, which was a bit of a walk, and the pieces were small. So that meant many trips back and forth for a very little amount of wood. But I did finally get enough for a little bit of fire before the sunset. While sitting by the fire, I noticed that the creek was flowing close to my campsite. So before the sun set, I decided to check it out. And look at all the bugs. I had a really good feeling tomorrow would be a great day fishing. But now, it's nice to sit by the fire. And I even had a little bit of company. Well, morning came, and it looked like a beautiful day. But I couldn't waste time packing up, as I was meeting up with Justin from RXflyfishing pretty early. Well, after introducing ourselves, we were off to a bit of a hike to the good fishing grounds. Finally, we got to the creek. And since Justin was used to fishing here, I wanted him to go first and show me what to do. Obviously, on a small creek like this, the trout spook easy, so you have to approach the creek carefully. Well, he got hung up on some grass, so he said it's my turn. As I approached the creek, I was surprised at how narrow it was. It was really hard to get a good cast and have the fly land in the water without your line getting caught. Both of us were getting snagged up before we could even hit the water. And it's surrounded by grasses and bushes on either side. Even when I got a good cast, the fly didn't have much of a run before grasses would hang up the line. But Justin said that's normal, and he did tell me before we went that I would probably lose quite a few flies here. However, finally Justin got the first fish of the day. A beautiful wild brown trout. Now, these aren't big fish, guys, but they're very beautiful, and really surprising anything is even coming out of this tiny creek. Then shortly after Justin hooked that one, I ended up getting a fish. Another beautiful brown, caught on a royal wolf. Well, he didn't cooperate on that underwater release. But hey, we both finally got a fish. Well, I was finally getting the hang of landing a fly in this tiny creek. Now that brown took a elk hair caddis, since by now I lost all my royal wolves to bushes. After fishing a little longer, Justin said that there was some water without as many bushes lining it, a bit further up, past a small lake. So we started walking towards that area. Of course, I couldn't help myself and casted on the lake. Sure enough, I got a take. But I lost that fish. Then I got another, but I lost him as well. Turns out these were very small fish, and I wasn't able to bury a hook in them. Well, finally we made it up to the creek, and while Justin was casting to a hole, I noticed a trout rising a bit further past him. However, there were some fallen logs in the way of his cast. So he went around to the other side where he could reach the fish. and sure enough, he got a fish to bite. Our first cutthroat of the day. Nice one, Justin. And of course, that fish took Justin's royal woof. See ya, little guy. Well, I wasn't expecting such a small fish there, and I sent it flying with my hook set. A small but beautiful cutthroat. So I believe these cutthroat are the Rio Grand subspecies, and they're beautiful little fish. Another one. And that was a cutthroat as well. Well, it looks like it paid off to go further upstream. We're getting into cutthroat now. Still some browns mixed in though. Well, I missed that one, but on the very next cast, and unfortunately when I hooked him, he jumped up and landed on the log there. But luckily he was fine. Feisty fish though, for sure. Well, another brown, a decent size also. Then Justin with another cutty. Well, this Reddington butterstick really had a laser beam of a cast. It seemed like it could put the fly wherever I wanted it. I really do love this rod. And due to a great cast, I got this really nice, colorful brown. And this tiny cutthroat. Man, all these fish are just so spunky and willing to take these dry flies as long as you make a good cast on them, which is really not that easy. But Justin there making it look easy at least. Not all the fish were hooked perfectly. I mean, you're bound to get at least one foul hook in a day of good fishing. And here was one. But it was that royal wolf again that fooled him. Seems like 80% of Justin's fish were on that fly. So even though the fish were small, this had to be one of my favorite times fishing. I mean, there were just so many fish. It really was almost every hole that held fish. And they were willing to come up and take the dry. So this poor brown got tangled up in my line, and moss. But he jumped out of my hands and released himself before I could show you guys. He was a pretty one for sure. Then I hooked into the largest fish of the trip. But he got loose. And this spot had like 5 fish in it. They also seemed to not really get spooked. I had one take, and I missed. Then I hooked one, and he got off. And still, after all that, I got another to bite, and I was able to land this guy. Well, it was getting pretty late by now, and I had about a 5-hour drive home. So Justin and I started making the long walk back to our cars. We were able to chat a bit about fishing, and he really is passionate about the sport, and also about keeping these fish healthy. So both RXflyfishing and me, McFly Angler, beg you to handle these wild creeks and trout with care. Don't litter, don't manhandle the fish, and release them healthy as often as possible. So I had a great time catching small but beautiful wild trout with Justin. We had some great footage, caught some pretty fish, and had a fun time just hanging out. I urge you to check out his Instagram channel, RXflyfishing, and follow him if you like his content. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming and editing it. Thanks for watching. If you like this sort of thing, please subscribe and share with all your fish-loving friends. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.